You're listening to the Fortnite Community Podcast with your hosts, TwoLoud, TX, and Nolxero.
What's up, guys? My name is Bennett, and this is the Fortnite Community Podcast.
No.
I am coming
this
to you
is the FTR Champions Podcast, brought to you by the Tracker Network, brother.
Oh, wait. Does that...
My
it's so
brain
weird how
hurts.
it's so weird for me to make that mistake.
How did I end up in this room?
No. This is
What?
definitely the Fortnite Community Podcast.
Yeah.
Episode 16, coming at you real hot.
This is the community tracker podcast.
Yes, the
Where we track
Fortnite
the community.
Community Tracker Podcast, where we track each and every one of you at your homes and on your cell phones.
We're like Santa, but a little bit more malicious.
Yeah, we're CIA
We
style.
see you when you're sleeping.
And we take notes.
Oh, man, that is very
Put some
scary.
tape over your webcams. It's scary.
Yeah.
We have, at the very least, know your KD.
Yeah, well, that is true. And you can actually find that out at the awesome freaking website that these guys run, which is the FortniteTracker.com podcast or .com website. Jeez, all the
Don't
podcasts.
put that in the URL. You are not going to find the site.
The URL is still going right now.
Yeah, it's the URL gets bigger every day.
But yeah, obviously you got TwoLoud and you have Nolxero here from the Fortnite Community Podcast
That's
side.
me.
And Bennett, why don't you introduce your whole crew, man?
Sure. Well, my name is Bennett,
I'm Zombie Zander.
And this is Runs on MT, but you can call me Matt.
and you're still doing it that way.
Yep.
Okay.
Sticking to it.
Got that radio voice coming in strong.
That's what we go for.
Yeah, it's so we're kind of putting together a show for you guys to enjoy so that you kind of know what we're the two most popular, best really podcast out there.
Yeah.
All together.
Like it goes without saying, but we like to say it every once in a while.
Yeah. If you're listening to something else, it must be because you've already listened to both these shows every week. So,
I mean,
Yeah.
Right, and you're like, I have nothing
arguably
else.
the two best.
Yeah.
Arguably.
So for real though, let's jump in and talk a little bit. First off, for the people that are used to listening to the Fortnite Community Podcast, a little about the FTR Champions Podcast and the background all there, right? Because obviously it's for you guys, it's more than just a podcast. You guys have quite a bit of history, in other games that we've mentioned before, like Destiny, but also you have a lot of people going to your site every day for FortniteTracker.com to get, tips and tricks and see, hey, what guys I should play with and what people I should recruit on my team for this esport that will eventually probably happen.
Eventually, probably, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully it happens.
Yeah, maybe cross my fingers and my toes.
So, yeah, tell us a little bit about, first off, like, what you guys are. What is FTR Champions, and what is the Tracker Network?
Sure. So I guess I'll take it and do, the elevator pitch.
Yeah, hit me.
Oh, right now? You want me to hit you?
I'm sitting next to him, so actually don't hit me.
Yeah.
But.
So we are a part of FTR Champions, which is associated with FortniteTracker.com. And so this is something that we actually put together a while ago. That we came together, at least Zander and I did, back when we were still playing Destiny, and we came together with Zorth and the other guys from the Tracker Network and said, okay, well, we're going to get together to do the competitive Destiny 2 scene, which we're still waiting to see. Or, the scene itself has dug itself a little farther underground than we thought it might. But that's what we came together for. We came together to do live events, to do production, and then shoutcast a bunch of leagues, tournaments, stuff like that for the at the time the hopefully soon to be pro scene of Destiny 2.
Right, because Bennett and I did the shoutcasting for the Destiny Championship Series finals.
It was the first time
first time when we started doing that, got in touch with Farcog and all that, and then that's
Very
how
cool.
kind of it morphed into
Yeah.
this.
And then Tracker Network said, okay, well, we like what you guys are doing. We did a whole slew of events for Destiny 1, closing out right before D2 came out, and then got together and started working with them instead of working under PvP Legends, which is where we had been before. And so we were doing that, and then we had done a couple Destiny 2 events, and we thought, okay, well, this is kind of, we need to get into something that's got a little bit more hype behind it that is fun, that's going to be the next thing, and here comes Fortnite. And we started seeing a lot of so much excitement about it. I know Farcog and Zander were at TwitchCon, and Farcog talked to one of his friends who ended up being one of the community managers, or I think the esports manager is what Lumen does.
Yeah,
over there.
Lumen.
But I talked to him and others, and we were saying, okay, well, maybe we should try getting into Fortnite. And so we played some. We liked how it was. We liked the capabilities that it gave you and the future that we saw for it, and said, okay, well, hey, Tracker Network, how about we start trying to push a little bit towards this? Let's see how this goes. And so now we've been doing that for, I think we officially started that like in December. We started FTR Champions off of DTR Champions.
Right.
So,
and because we didn't have the private matches, we had to, until we get those and are able to start running leagues, we decided that we wanted to really push a strong community and start a podcast. Just talk about it every single week because we do love this game. Bennett and I have a top 10 series that we've been doing weekly, and that just hit episode 11 weekly, which you can find on
YouTube, on Tracker Network.
Tracker Network, yeah. So it's, I mean, we love this game, and we just wanted to do everything about it, and this was just one more extension of it to give us a chance to express our joy for the game.
I got it.
And then also, there's Matt.
And then there's me. I live near them.
You're just that guy is like, hey.
It's like on Half Baked. He's the guy on the couch.
There.
It's like, oh, and Matt's here.
So you did mention you guys all live around each other, and you're working on this project together. How all did you meet? How all did you guys get together and say,
College
hey, you're a nerd like me?
Yep. It's pretty much how it happened. We all went to college together. We sang college a cappella, and after we graduated, the majority of us were all in the DC area. And through a friend, he told us about this game called Destiny, and so we decided to give it a shot, and eventually we started playing together a lot more. And that relationship built as we played through several Trials of Osiris and all that sort of things, and that developed into our love for video games. And
I was with Matt for his first Flawless, and then he went on to become way better at the game than me.
That's April 18th, 2016. Yep.
There you go.
He's got it.
It was on Black Shield. I was a Sunbreaker. Awesome.
I didn't keep notes or anything.
I don't have it recorded and watch it every day.
This is how
So I have a question for y'all.
My favorite clip.
Since y'all are in an a cappella group, what do y'all think of Pitch Perfect? Is that like, oh, we hate that movie, or is that like, that's kind of what it's like?
Honestly, it's
my favorite thing is the first one especially, and I will say, I like the movie, but I mean, it's got so many great people in it that I also like. So
right.
Like, I'm not going to say, no, I hate that Anna Kendrick
if
movie.
You're listening.
Right, Anna Kendrick. Here's our phone numbers.
Yeah. I mean, if by any chance, just send us an email.
Call me.
If she plays Fortnite, I swear to God.
But the funniest part about that first movie when it came out, because I mean, we get that question a lot, just talking to friends in real life and stuff like that. And they'll say, "Whoa, what do you guys think? Did you like Pitch Perfect?" And I'll say, here's the best way I can describe my feelings towards Pitch Perfect and its accuracy or inaccuracy and stuff like that, was that, the whole thing with getting like vocal notes and stuff like that came up in the first movie, where it's like, my nodes, we know you can't sing. So one of our friends, who funnily enough is probably the guy that got us into shoutcasting, and is now also way farther ahead in that line than us, because he shoutcasted for Riot, and now
Riot Games and the LCS.
Oh wow!
And
that little game called League of Legends.
You might have heard of it.
So you've heard of this game.
But so he was the guy in our a cappella group. He and I, for a year or two, were the co-directors of it, and he got vocal notes. We were both voice majors too, so it was a problem to get vocal notes. But it was almost exactly, he would come in, he'd have a gallon jug of water, and he'd be like, okay, Ben, I'm not going to be able to sing today. And I'd be like, all right, Daniel. Yeah, dude. Do you know why? And he's like, it's the. I was like, no, I know exactly why. Sit down. and that was just the feeling that came from it every single time. And but yeah, so I like them.
Yeah,
that's a long way of saying.
You guys did a really cool like acapella thing with one of your episodes. It was like 4 or 5 episodes ago. It's like you took the Halo.
one?
Yeah, the Halo.
Oh, the Halo one. Oh, yeah.
It was really clever, man. It was really awesome. So.
Yeah.
You guys are gonna have to go back and listen to that one because it was awesome.
Yeah, it's the one that we called the less silent cartographer. I think it was like episode 4 or something like that.
Because we were talking about maps.
Yeah, that was the subtitle. Yeah, no, because I had done a whole bunch of work when I got out of college in like acapella production and stuff like that, and so we had just kind of been messing around singing that, and then got to the point where I needed to record just like the regular intro. This week we talk about. But there was a bunch of stuff going on in our apartment at the time, so I was like, I'll just mess around with this for an hour. And then I was like, oh, this is fun. And then I played it. I was like, guys, listen to what I did. And you should have seen the excitement on my face when I realized that we had sung it in the same key as the main Fortnite. Because I popped that on at the end, and he goes, jam. And I was like,
yeah, that was
awesome.
So for people that are like, okay, what the heck is FortniteTracker.com? Like, I think I summed it up. You can go there and check out stats, but it's more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I guess the main thing that I like to use it for is, yes, it is stats. You can see your KD in all forms of the game, solos, duos, squads, all of that. It'll show like kills per minute. It'll show all of that stuff. Check it out. I'm not going to run through each one. But my favorite part of it is the database that they just added to it, where it's got literally every piece of information that you could want about every weapon in the game. Like, here is your AR. Let's look at a green AR. Cool. So I can open up that weapon on FortniteTracker.com, or I think that's db.FortniteTracker.com. Yep. You can open up that weapon and it shows you, all right, it gives this much damage for a body shot, this much damage for a headshot. This is the bloom multiplier for if you're running versus if you're standing still versus if you're crouched. This is where it's going to spawn. It's going to be like loot crates. It's going to be on this sort of thing and wherever. And it's got so much information kind of hidden away in there. I mean, that's where we learned our whole tip of shotguns only spawn on the floor.
Like, you don't think about that. And then you see you and an enemy, he lands on the roof, and you're like, well, I'm just going to land on the floor because going through the front door, because that's where all the shotguns spawn. Yeah. They don't spawn in the chest in the top. And like, we were just like, wait, yeah, shotguns don't come out of the chest. Wait a second.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Land on the floor.
Yeah. So it's got all that info. We also just added a pretty sweet LFG feature to it. It's honestly, I was impressed a lot with it, and I was talking to Zorth about it because it's like, you can LFG, you can find people, but it's also got a seamless integration with Discord where you say, all right, hop into this LFG thing, and it just pops open Discord, and you're already in a party, just auto creates a Discord party for you so you can play and not use in-game chat, and then closes that party out as soon as everybody's done. So that's a really neat thing to check
it's
too.
It's super cool. I mean, Fortnite Tracker has so much information about the game itself, and it takes like the API and it sucks out all this information that you never knew existed.
Yeah.
And then, it just clarifies certain things. If you and a friend are having an argument about what, it
helps you be right.
It helps you be right about stuff. So,
besides that, you're wrong, then it helps you be wrong.
Yeah. Right. But it will clarify that argument, whatever you're having about Fortnite. That's for sure. You guys have been asking us so many questions
Well, that was like
about
2. We just
us.
a long time.
Yeah, well, you're long-winded. I'm long-winded. Yeah. Matt is Matt.
I'm here.
Matt is here.
Wait. Is Matt still there? Is he?
You wouldn't believe it, but yes.
Yeah. So why don't you tell our fans, the Fortnite Champions Podcast fans, about you guys?
Oh,
yeah.
Man.
Let's start with your guys' basic, just the two of you. Basic background, where you came from, and how you guys got into Fortnite and the community. Podcast.
So me and David Nolxero, this is too loud for those that are listening. by the way, thank you so much for having us on the FTR Champions Podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
you're so welcome.
You guys are amazing.
Yes, of
This
course.
is too loud.
I'm a fan
Hey,
actually.
Eeyore.
So I listen to you guys' show, and I have lots of more questions to give you. But I will tell you a little bit about us. Me and Nolxero here, David. We met playing Gears of War years ago, about 11 years ago. We played Gears of War competitively
That
in
game
MLG
is
together.
so old.
Yeah, I know, right?
Funny that we met on an Epic game.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
gonna say that was an epic IP before I think they sold it. But
It was.
Right.
Yeah.
And he lived in
Microsoft
Austin. I
bought it.
lived in Dallas,
Yeah.
and now he lives up here in Dallas near me, not too far away. But we've done a lot of projects together. We did the Dads of Destiny podcast for a long time. We did what was called Siege the Show, which was a Siege podcast for a little while, which, by the way, was awesome, and we had a great time getting to know all the people at Ubisoft. They were incredible. A lot like, really, our interaction with Ubisoft was a lot like, I think, how people see Epic and how open they are with the community. Ubisoft, obviously, a bit of a bigger monster, right? From globally, they have studios all over the world, and so I think they're getting better and better about communication. I think we all can praise Epic all the time about how well they communicate to their community. But it was a lot of fun getting to know the guys at Ubisoft. We did that show, and then we ran Aim Assist Gaming for a while, which was a kind of like our own take on podcasting and trying to put a bunch of different shows together underneath it. But mainly it was Destiny focused, and it kind of ran its course for us. And we made a lot of great friends during that time, a lot of great friends at Bungie and everywhere else. But we took a break. I had a third child, which anyone out there that's contemplating have a third child, contemplate it a little more.
I tried telling him.
How about
Yeah.
a first child?
Yeah.
You don't do that.
Make sure you're
What?
prepared. Well, you're never prepared for that, but make sure you're at least in a position that's intelligent to have. Well, I don't even know if that's possible, but to have a child. I'm not encouraging
not.
people go have
Don't
children.
do it.
I just want to make sure that it's like I listen to FTR Champions Podcast, and this guy's like, go have kids. No, I'm not saying that.
Like, well, they told me to. So
But no, so we got together, and that happened. I moved last year, and we were starting to get back into Destiny 2, and we created something called we got together with a different website, destinycontentcreators.com, which I think actually Fortnite or Destiny Tracker at the time was on there. And it's kind of a place where we took all the community people that developed anything for Destiny and that huge community, and kind of had a hub where people could go and learn and see new people. So we started the DCC Radio, which was Destiny Content Creator Radio. And this is a Fortnite podcast, so I'll tell you, our interest with Destiny ran thin. And so we came over and we were like, dude, what are we going to do together? And we've always involved other people in our projects. So it's always been like, we had a guy named Hambone and N64 Josh, who were part of all the Destiny stuff we did. Pope Bear was originally... for those that are Destiny fans, was originally on the Dads of Destiny podcast with us and helped us start
Hope
that.
Bear, great name.
Yeah, and then we had oh my gosh, I'm gonna forget it. Khan, that's what everybody call him for DCCR. Young Khan, who's an incredible artist. He is amazing
Doing this
artist.
thing on Twitch now.
Yeah, he's really incredible. And so then on this show, we're like, dude, like we love this game and we're nerding out about it more than everybody else because this was right before I'd say like it hit the big mainstream like BR run. And so we're like, dude, we love creating content. Let's get together and make a podcast and do what we've always done. And one of the things that we started doing back when we did Dads of Destiny, when Destiny 1 first came out, was reach out to community people and have them on the show. And the show's a lot more about the community and pinpointing. We try to every episode pinpoint something that's going on. It's different than y'all's show because like if I was going to compare our shows to like Destiny shows for people that are familiar with Destiny, like you guys are the Crucible Radio, right? You guys are like breaking down the BR to a T and diving deep in. You guys had Steve, the sports
Psychic.
The psychic. Yeah.
It's not really a coincidence that we had a lot of the same people that CR has on because we're just friends with the same people.
Right.
We all came from Destiny. So
exactly.
So you guys do that, and we kind of do a more like, I guess you could say, Destiny content or Destiny Community Podcast, right? And kind of showing, like, pinpointing somebody in the community and talking a little bit about through the news and what's going on in the game as a broad. And we also cover Save the World a little bit. And
I have so many questions about Save the World from you guys for later.
We have so many questions too, so hopefully somebody can answer them. No, actually, Nolxero is, and the thing about us, and if you've listened to us at all, or if you've never listened to us before, is I'm more of like the host, like, hey, let me get to know the people, let me jump in. And David is more of like the nerd that jumps in the game and knows all the specifics. So it's like peanut butter and jelly situation. It is kind of what I always tell people, because he can, like, seriously dive into a game and learn all the, nuances about it. And I'm over here on the broad side, like, hey, David, explain this to me again. Okay, David, what does this do again?
Right.
So that's
all right. I'll go be personable real quick, and you write me an essay, please.
Yeah. So that's a little bit about like our focus. What we do on our show is just kind of, we had Monster D-Face on, we've had Beanhead, both YouTubers in the game. That were a lot of fun to have. So, sometimes we cover Battle Royale, sometimes we cover Save the World, sometimes we're just talking to somebody to figure out, what the heck is FortniteTracker.com. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
we do.
And that's
tell your story type deal. So
yeah, and that's what I noticed in listening through the episodes that I have of you guys, and I know that the one with D-Face on, that was probably one of my favorite ones. That was a really cool. He had a lot of fun insight into different stuff, but that's kind of how when I've talked to some of our friends and stuff, how I describe it too, where I'm like, yeah, you guys are the ones that if you want, like, it's we're gonna highlight the community members. We're gonna, whether it's somebody big and well known, whether it's somebody less known, maybe it's somebody that has something specific going on. We're gonna highlight them and do that. Whereas we are, like, every week we generally try to have a specific focus that we're gonna tie back to strategy or to mental preparation or something like that. And then the news points are, we touch them, but it's touching them in order to incorporate them into the point that we're making that particular week. Yeah.
So with all that said, if you guys are Fortnite fans, you should be listening to Fortnite Community Podcast and the FTR Champions Podcast. So if you're not subscribed to both, go subscribe. Because you get kind of different
hit
mix.
That like and subscribe.
Yeah. I mean, would you call kind of the thing you guys do? Would you call it like Fortnite Fortnights, or some of the things you guys do? What the heck is Fortnite Fortnights for everybody out there?
So that's one of our bi-weekly.
Personal challenge.
Sorry,
every 2 months.
Every 2 weeks. Oh my god. Okay,
semi-weekly.
Totally confused everybody. Why don't you let Matt talk?
So yes, Matt, tell us about it.
And then I'll correct you.
Fortnite Fortnights. It's our bi-monthly. Challenge to ourselves of where we identify something that we want to improve in our Battle Royale gameplay. And it can be something as simple as, I want to figure out how to work this, like, for people that play on PC, what better keystrokes work for this, and just knowing that exactly. Or for something more as complex of, like, or something as simple or complex depending on how good you are, getting better at sniping. Just something as simple as that. And taking time specifically just to go either into a solo duos or whatever to do just that. And even if you get killed right away, like, it doesn't matter, as long as you made progress, and getting better at that skill is what we are focused on. Just incremental improvement, just so, because in the long run that'll improve your ability to win games on a much more regular basis.
And it kind of comes down to something that we've mentioned, and something that I know that the three of us are used to in different levels of it, but in what's called focused practice. It's basically our bi-monthly application of focused practice, which is, like Matt just said, you go in, and rather than saying, I'm playing so I can get a victory royale today, that's a very broad thing. That's not gonna help you improve necessarily. That can get you onto that track of, I just sat down and played for 5 hours. Am I better? No, I'm angry. Did I do anything worthwhile? Well, I had that cool shot. Why did it happen? I don't know. And so it's introducing focused practice, which is something that's used like in so many different areas. Like I know that I used it mostly when I was a voice major back in school. You use it in sports, you use it in esports, and it's just introducing that concept in an easy to understand way of saying, okay, no, I'm going to set myself this goal. And what I'm going into play right now is not the game in a broad sense. I'm going in to work on this goal, make this goal better, just repetitive over and over and over again, get the muscle memory down, get down that basic aspect. And it can be basic or more broad, depending on how you feel you play the game and how you want to do it. I'm the type that breaks it down to the bare bones, where I'm like, I spent 2 weeks figuring out my weapon key bindings. And just being like, okay, now I'm just going to practice switching from Q to Z to Q to Z to Q to Z and making sure that I have that down so that when you get yourself into a more intense situation, you can just do these things without really thinking about it. And you can start to think in a much broader, more strategic sense, like, I want to do this thing. And then the mechanics are there and you just do it.
Yeah, I found it really interesting because I think at first you guys started this like you were going to do it every week, right? Originally, like
that was a little much.
And you figured out like it actually takes me a little bit longer to get that muscle memory down. It takes me a little bit more practice, especially if you have outside lives and you're not streaming every single day, playing 10 hours a day, right? I mean, So I think the majority of people that listen to your podcast, whether it be driving to work or going to school or whatever, I think they're in a similar boat where it's like, I want to get better at Fortnite. I want to get better at especially, Battle Royale. And how do I take those steps? And I think you guys have been doing a great job of like breaking it down as, hey, this is, you look at each aspect of what you're doing in Fortnite and get good at that aspect and then move on and build on it. No pun intended, right? But, keep building on your
building
skills.
On jokes. We've gotten past those. It's too easy.
Yeah. It's funny that we're talking about it because I used to do that with Halo 3, and I'm sure a lot of people know this, but there was like different maps
Zander's face
that had birds, and I would sit there for hours with different guns shooting these birds.
Oh, on Guardian.
Like there's big birds on Guardian, and there's actually like almost like different skill levels. So there's like birds on Guardian. Then you go out to Zanzibar. I forget what is it? Standoff. It was Halo 2 is Zanzibar.
Standoff. It was, oh my god.
There's a big turbine outside.
Last Resort.
Last Resort. That's what it's called in Halo 3. So there were smaller birds. And then if you really wanted to give yourself a challenge, you go to the pit. And in there was like tiny birds. And that was like expert mode. If you could nail those birds with the sniper, like you were hot stuff right there.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's funny because I used to actually do that a lot back in Halo 3.
I mean,
heck yeah, man. I'm all about that. Kindred spirit right here.
So like for instance, give an example of one of the Fortnite Fortnights you guys are currently doing.
Yeah, sure. I mean, actually, we can go around the table because this will just be our regular talking about Fortnite Fortnights.
Yeah.
For the regular one, we'll do it in a briefer version.
Sure.
So I think most of ours, Matt and I were talking about it before we sat down today, but are a little similar this week or this series of 2 weeks. But so mine is essentially building fundamentals, and by that I mean like building fundamental structures. There are certain things that you build in this game that have become kind of ubiquitous to everybody that's playing. Like you see, this guy's running, he's double ramping. This guy, especially on PC, you've got the series of ramp, wall underneath, ramp, wall underneath, ramp, wall underneath to give yourself extra stuff like that.
Right.
You've got your standard 4x4 with stairs, or ramp.
One by one.
One by one. It's yours one by one.
Mine
Mine is a 4x4.
Well, that's why you have to work on it.
That's what I used to do too. I'm like, David, how are you shooting already? I'm still building. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, and so like that's what this series of 2 weeks has been focusing on. And so what I've been doing to achieve that goal has been essentially I'll drop down. I'll play maybe 1-2 hours doing this. Drop down, pick up a gun. If somebody shoots at me, I'll shoot them back. But I'm not actively aggressing on anybody. And then I just start farming some mats, mostly wood, and run out, and I'll come to some random spot and I'll say, all right, here we go. Build right now. And I'll go 1, 2, 3, 4, ramp, jump out. Keep running. And I'd set myself the goal of like, I'm going to get 10 of these perfectly, where if I go 1 wall, 2 wall, 3rd wall instead extends one of the walls into like a 2x1, and I'm like, well, that's not right. Okay, start the count over. And then just do that over and over and over again until I start to get the feeling of like how the wall gets placed, how I'm oriented, and getting a real sense of making sure that I'm always starting doing that, facing one of the cardinal directions so that it's going to go directly where I want it to, and that sort of thing. And so it's just running around doing that and moving from structure to structure. If I get 10 of one, I'll either speed up the time at which I'm practicing that one, or I will move on to another one. And I'll say, okay, now it's time for me to do double ramp up 6 layers, and then go on to number 2. And so that's what I've been doing. It's been going well, I would say. And
how many times do you get super frustrated? And have to start all over.
Sometimes.
Well, his doesn't fall into the category of combat per se.
But it can still be. It's a different frustration,
right? But yours doesn't necessarily.
So Zander, are you calling his Fortnite weak?
Yours is not as.
I'm not saying his are weak. I'm saying that his frustration level could potentially be.
You don't know how I practice.
I know exactly. I sit next to you every single day. But if he fails, his doesn't necessarily mean death. It means that he screwed up his build a little bit and has to start over.
Yeah.
A lot of the other Fortnites involve combat, and failure means death, which means going back to the lobby and coming back in and trying again.
You know, if you had broken your game down to this level to start with your Fortnites, you'd probably done a lot less.
Wow, Bennett.
Yeah. No, but he's right. And mine is
Scoff.
Mine is essentially like the level of I guess frustration that I would feel in that is the level of frustration that you get when you're doing any repetitive practice action over and over again, like practicing aerials in Rocket League or something like that, or like, practicing a golf swing or something like that, where you're like,
oh, that's a frustrating example right there.
Yeah. And so it's like, you try to get it and you get the feel exactly right, and you feel like you're really on it, and you're like, I'm nailing these, I'm getting this, I'm hitting the ball, I'm building my one bys, I'm making this work. And then you get to number 9 and the wall goes off to the side and you say,
Yeah.
And then you have to restart.
But I think it's a good example of what Fortnites is, right? It can be any level, right? It can be a base level of just putting down stairs and getting good at like immediately throwing a wall and stairs up, right? To hey, building a 1x1 3 stories high as fast as I can, which is what I've been doing, and kind of my take on it. And I'll give that after we get through here. But I think it's really cool because this is something that like people can really break down at any level. And take a step back. And I think that's what it does for me is, and you guys started doing this. It was like, wow, that's like a really basic concept. It's one of those things like, why didn't I think about that? Right. Like, why didn't I just like start thinking about the basics here of what I'm doing instead of taking this overarching game that can be kind of overwhelming, especially for new players or people that aren't really good at Battle Royale yet. And, start at the basic level. I mean, Zander, so what is yours, Zander?
Mine is a little bit more of a broad strokes concept instead of breaking it down to an extremely fundamental style like Bennett has been doing in the past couple of weeks. Mine is, for this 2-week period, I have had a little bit of trouble in the early game, especially playing with friends, finding the right gun to start an engagement with enemies. And so say if Matt is in trouble and I need to come to his rescue, I may spend another 30 more seconds looking for an AR while I've already found a pistol and a revolver, both of which fire bullets. I should be able to utilize those weapons and go help Matt if he's in trouble. So mine is land, first weapon, find a fight.
Yeah.
find a fight, be able to utilize whatever comes. I mean, it's a little bit more difficult when you find a minigun because it's just a wall of bullets. But
for me, there's nothing worse than picking up a sniper when you hear footsteps around. He's like, okay,
right.
How am I going to pull this off?
But more or less, I mean, SMGs have become a little bit more
prevalent,
effective across all
engagements.
Exactly.
Big time.
Oh my god, I'm getting melted by them so far away, and I actually love it. I love that they have found a place in the game. But mostly it's just for me. It's just find a gun, find a fight, and work on engagements no matter what gun is put in my hands.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'll just tie that tied in with this round 3 with my Fortnite Fortnite, and it's building to control the area around me, which is just if someone attacks me, which it works in both an offensive and defensive sort of matter, where if someone surprises me, I just build up everything around me and let them try and sort through that chaos. And it's so far it's been working for me. In attacking someone, I just, especially with this new update where you can auto build and you don't have to tap every single time.
Right.
I can just hold down that and just make ramps for days, pushing somebody, and that has made so many engagements much easier because you can tell the difference when someone pushes me is like, I don't want to be on the low ground. Like we all know how having the high ground works.
Right.
Like, when you have the high ground, you're going to win 90% of the time, and it makes a huge difference. In
Hear that, Anakin?
So Matt, Matt, you're playing on console?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, you guys play PS4, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, I play on Xbox. So building is a much bigger challenge for us here. So that's why I've been placing a lot more emphasis on that. And like when you were saying earlier, like with like building the 1x1 with into getting to the 3 levels, it takes so much time on console because those two strokes of hitting the bumpers to get over to go from ramp from the walls takes forever, especially if you're in an engagement right there. It's super frustrating. But that was something I practiced a while back, is just that build of 4 around me stairs is like just having that being something keyed into my muscle memory, so I know how to do that and don't have to think about it when someone's surprised me in engagement or if I'm trying to defend, like something like that.
So you mentioned that you're doing building on console, and I'm curious, what do you happen to know? Maybe you don't know off the top of your head, but what sensitivity level you're playing at on controller?
I'm playing with the standard that the game gives me. Okay. I've experimented a little bit with higher and lower, because with higher you can move around a lot
like
more.
5? Is that what it's set to?
I think it is
7.
I think it is 5. I think 5 is default.
5. Okay.
Get wrecked, Matt.
I'm used to being wrong.
Yeah, you suck.
And so I play with the default sensitivity, and because like with lower, my gunplay was improved. But if someone surprised me behind me, it's going to take 2 days for me to turn around and get a shot on them. It feels like
right.
Where with the higher sensitivity, it's much jerky, and my shot went to hell. And that was actually during the week of the sniper shootout, and that was it was painful.
Made that more difficult.
Yeah, just a little bit.
I will say, like for me, it took me a while to get used to. I'm playing on like a 6 now. David, I think he's on an 8. You're on an 8, right?
Yeah, I play low 8s. Since they made the change where you can actually adjust to several different areas in one point. I'm playing like maybe mid-range 8 or low 8. Not sure exactly where it's set, but I'm sitting on 8.
That's something I need to experiment a little bit more with.
For building one buys, it helped out a lot for me, at least.
Yeah, I can see that.
Troy was playing at like a 3 or a 4 at one point. I tried playing on his. I was like, I don't understand how you play, because this feels like I'm just sludging around in mud. Like I'm stuck in moisty mire and I can't get out. Like the whole
that's what I played.
Moisty.
Like that's what I would do. Like on Destiny, was I would always play low sensitivity, because otherwise I couldn't aim at anything. So I'd play like a 3 or a 4 the entire time, and then you try to carry it over, and it's like,
it's funny you mentioned that, because I played 10 sensitivity on Destiny, because I just no one does. I don't even get me, and because I just wanted to be able to have my head on a swivel where I could see anything if someone surprised me in trials or anything, that I could easily react to that. and I mean, it took me months to get used to that. That was like going into after I think our first flaw was when I realized, I can be good at this game. And then
no, go ahead.
Go
tell
ahead,
Matt
guys.
to go ahead.
Wow. I was just gonna say that
this is the problem with having 5 people talking on my call at once.
I was just gonna say for people out there that might be listening and say, oh, maybe I should try this Fortnites thing. That if you're playing on console, sensitivity is actually a really good Fortnites for you because it is a build-up. If you're playing on a 3, don't go and pump it up to 8 because you're not going to kill anything. You might build a little bit better and be able to throw walls around you a lot faster, but I mean, you're not going to kill anything because that sensitivity jump's going to be huge. So like a good one's like, well, this week I'm going to bump it up, a whole point or something like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Exactly. And I know what I guess my disclaimer for any Fortnite is, depending on what it is you choose, don't go to Fortnite Tracker for a while because you, depending on what goal you set for yourself, you might tank any KD that you ever had. Not saying it's happened to me.
Yeah.
I might be saying it's happened to me.
He's nodding right now.
I mean, you go into games, especially if it's like something like that, where I'm working on my aim and I'm making it something that I'm either wildly uncomfortable with or a little uncomfortable with, or I'm only working on building and not getting kills. I mean, if you're not aggressing on people and trying to get kills, you're just going to take that one death every time, and you're going to see your stats dip for a while, but they'll come back up.
Yeah.
And you kind of have to equate some of that, like, as far as, like, for people out there, like, you have to understand that if you're making changes, you have to kind of feel it. Does it feel better? Because the reward might not show up right away. You might not start winning more games. You might not get that better KD that you're talking about. But does it feel like what you're doing could be more successful than what you were doing?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and
exactly.
if so, then you're definitely probably on the right track, and your tracker will kind of update later once you kind of get in the groove. I was gonna ask y'all a question. What do you think is the best thing you've done as far as all your Fortnites? What was the most beneficial to your game? What was the one where you're like, that was the one that changed everything?
It was the first one I did. Which for me was just it was the combo of really hammering home all of my key bindings and using the hotbar, the swap bar, and figuring out my positioning on that.
Mind you, Bennett and I are primarily on PC. I dabble in Xbox occasionally, but we have the currently the solo luxury of being able to customize our key bindings. And I think they're going to start adding some cool stuff on the console side of things.
God, I hope they do.
So at some point, especially with as far as building goes, it could be optimized so much better.
Yes, I really want building to go to the point where you switch to building mode and all of your bumpers and triggers are a building
are different
piece.
things. Yeah.
Hit circle building mode, and now you've got on front bumper wall, back bumper stairs, left front bumper, roof, all that stuff.
It could be optimized so much better because you're not playing around with your weapons at that point. You're playing around with 5 different things that you need to do and then build.
Yeah.
That's it. So they could definitely optimize that a little bit better.
And they've said that they are. I mean, that's one of the things they addressed.
Yeah, they mentioned it.
And it's been such an outcry from the PS4 and Xbox community that they're definitely working on it, and there's going to be improvements from there moving forward. Mm-hmm. But for me, like Bennett's was optimizing his building and key bindings and stuff, and for me, it was optimizing my key bindings and building and everything. Honestly, it was kind of a side project for me. It wasn't a primary focus. And I did it to help with one of my Fortnite Fortnights, which was just be more comfortable switching to a shotgun, and being ready to fight whenever I needed to. I've got a button that I always put shotguns on because of my hotbar, and now I know that if I press that button, I'm gonna have a shotgun. I'm gonna be fighting. I'm ready to fight up close. And so, like, key bindings are everything, and they absolutely need to prioritize making that much more fluid for the consoles.
Yeah, because that took my game from garbage monster to average trash, but it made me feel more comfortable and get a lot better. I don't know,
average trash.
Yeah, I just go past it and hope nobody noticed. but that, yeah, like for me, that was what you do it, and now all of a sudden I can say, okay, well, I can't blame not knowing where things are anymore. I can't blame trying to scroll wheel to different weapons anymore, because I just unbound the scroll wheel.
So to finish this out, to finish out the Fortnites, you guys are continuing the same ones for the next couple weeks?
Yes. So we have one more week of the one that we currently have.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we just keep trying to hammer away at that, and then we'll push over to a new one or a slightly altered one moving forward after that. But yeah, so this week we're all sticking with the same ones. Do you guys have ones that you think you're going to be trying to work on for this next week?
You know what? I think I'm going to, and as I mentioned, I think I'm going to continue to try to build that one by one quicker, like get better. Here's my problem that I have right now is I can build the one by one, and I can even get it up to 3 stories fairly quickly on console. But then I always have this problem if I'm getting pushed or something, like I'm fumbling getting out of that interaction back to the weapon that I want to get to, right? And so coming out of building really, it's probably better to put it this way, coming out of building back to my weapons is kind of my Fortnite. So, taking a section, going somewhere, building something, and then switching to that weapon real quick. Not worrying, like you guys always say, about getting the kill or anything, but like landing, maybe clearing that area. And then once it's clear, harvest some materials and build something and do a 1x1, 2 stories and then switch my weapon. Build a 1x1 3 stories, or just a regular 1x1 and jump out, get on the ramp and aim down sights, ADS real quick. Like those type of fluid movements is what I'm trying to focus on right now. So I think that's gonna be my Fortnites. What about you, Nolxero?
Well, so since I've introduced the turbo building and stuff, one thing people are building a lot more on console. I'm not a huge fan of basing up. Right? Like, I don't like to put myself in a box, put stairs, do another box, put another stair. I'm not a fan of that at all. I don't do it ever. So my biggest thing is what I've been working on, and actually what I'll continue to work on, is I'm pretty successful in the things I do, but editing. I want to, so I had a play the other day, and this is where I was like, I really need to work on this and being better at this, where I was up top of that hill that overlooks Tilted Towers, and I got ambushed by 3 guys. I was a little ahead of my team, and they were coming up the hill from the lake, and I got ambushed by like 3 or 4 guys, and I just started building walls and like all these crazy walls and put myself in all these boxes. I started editing doors and running through all these doors, and it literally gave time for my team to come up. All these guys started shooting at my team, and I came up behind these guys. It was like they just totally forgot about me. Yeah. Like, oh, there's these people over here, and I came out of my editing mode through a wall, coming out of a door, and I started, laying fire behind them, and we ended up wiping the team. And I was like, dude, I've got to get better at editing, because that was amazing. That was such an amazing play.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really good one. It's one that I've kind of like shadow put into the one that I'm doing now, where I'll build that one by in a ramp, and then sometimes just like edit a door out of it and try to do, because that you can absolutely like that's how you start juking people, where you're like, all right, I built this thing. But yeah, joke's on you. I was only on the 2nd level of this 3-story thing I built, edited a door out of it, and now I've got the high ground on another hill, and now I can push at you from above a different direction than you ever thought I was going to be coming. But you have to be able to, you have to make that edit quick enough to not get caught falling out of the building and get shot.
Yeah, I remember it was one of the top posts on Reddit is when it was a 4v1 for the Victory Royale, and this guy was editing walls, like as they're just like messing with him and emoting on him, and he put in a quick window, shot someone, edited out, and then it blew my mind. I didn't even think about using that thing in a defensive / aggressive manner, just like going quickly like that, and that just opened my mind to thinking of all the different possibilities.
Right. If anyone wants to see that play, I think it's like number 7 on our number 10 top 10. I'm not sure. It's on YouTube. Anyway, keep going.
No, I was just saying it really hit home for me, like I said, on that play that I had. And then again, it was like brought to my attention yesterday. I was playing with one of our listeners, and we were at Anarchy, and we had this guy penned at barn. Like, we had completely demolished the barn. It was pretty much all in rubble, and this guy was hurt so bad. He was absolutely had to be dead. and he had built all these structures around him, and we were like, we got him, like we've got him pinned down, we're gonna go, and he edited, like we destroyed his structures, and he wasn't in there. We're like, where the hell did this guy go?
Yeah.
And then he ends up rocket launching us. Like, it's embarrassing to say it. Like, we got totally outplayed. Our ankles were broken. We're laying on the floor. Where'd this guy go? Boom, rocket launcher. We're both dead. But at the same time, I was like in awe, because I was like, that's what I need to be able to do.
Yeah.
Because that dude totally faked us out. He was dead, but now we're dead.
Yeah, that's the kind of play where like it happens to you and you're like, I hate you, but I need to go do that right now.
I respect
but it's like,
you.
Yeah.
Right. It's like, kudos, man. Kudos.
Yeah,
what a
exactly.
play.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
happened to me so
can't
many
even-
times. Like somebody's coming at me and they build over the top of me, right? Which is a common thing, I think, from starting Fortnite to somebody that's a more intermediate player learning how to do that. But they come over and like I run underneath my ramp that's there. They come over the top of me, and then I turn around. They got like 4 ramps built somewhere, and they're running in a circle, and I don't know where the heck they went. Next thing I know, they shotgun me in my face, and I'm dead. Right, and it's because like at that point they control the momentum when they're coming towards you, right? And unless you're making a move to have some momentum yourself, it's like you're just a sitting duck, you know. So building and getting crazy sometimes. I mean, we had a play a few weeks ago where it's like 4 teams pushed on us when we were playing duos, and me and David just started building this crazy structure of like ramps and here and there, and the next thing you know, like we turn around like, wow, we wiped out all those dudes. That's awesome. Because they just lost us. They had no idea what was going on. And that's happened to me.
Yeah.
I've been a victim of that before. It's like, crap, what just happened? Like I need to do that more to people. So
Yeah, well, and it's part of that too is there's a mental game that goes into it. Like, you know, if you're running along the ground and you look and see, oh crap, this guy all of a sudden came out of nowhere and is building up. He's already got the higher ground on me and he's taking shots. I don't know what I'm going to do here. How do I get out of it? Like, already you're panicking and you're thinking, oh, I need to figure out how to get out of this. If you do that to other people, they will react the same way. Like, that's something that I noticed when I started doing more building and more aggressive stuff like that, is if you are the aggressor and you can start to make yourself like, you know, it's like puffing yourself up to make yourself look bigger and better than the person that you're going at.
You start
half the time, like, yeah, it's like you take a shot at somebody and you see them start to build a base, and rather than saying, all right, I'm just going to keep taking pot shots at that base, you say, no, I'm going to push that base. I'm going to build up over top of that base. And the times that I've done that and had that, like, successfully went through that thought process, I find myself, you know, 2 stories up above this base where they're just sitting, looking back where I was, and then I can just lay into them with a few shots, and I'm like, ha, should have moved.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And like anytime I put myself in a 1x1, like 2-story, 3-story, and I see that when I can just see from the angle that they're going to be able to get above me faster than I can cover myself with like the double rams, I'm like, this guy's better. It's so intimidating.
Yeah.
And like, so once I'm able to get that down pat and do that as an aggressive move, you feel like a badass because you're just riding in.
Yeah.
It's hard to gesture through audio right now, but
Right.
Yeah. He pushed his hands forward
like
towards
ramps.
me. Yeah.
like daggers.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I feel like a badass when I do that, and so it gets me in a good mindset of like, I'm gonna win this engagement.
Yeah.
And when I do that, and that mindset helps out a lot too when you think you're gonna win, because you're more likely to win.
Yeah.
right.
It's building that personal momentum for yourself.
Mhm.
So obviously you guys cover a ton of stuff, and I was going to ask you, you know, to give a tip on this, but I'm going to go ahead and put the tip right here since we're already talking about it. But would you say in those instances when you're running towards somebody and you see them, you would take a breath and say your keyword to yourself?
It sounds like maybe something that Steve would say. Yeah, I would say overall, I would that's it. It's just depending on your mindset when you get into it.
Right. So you guys
Like
talked
if
a little bit about.
if you're already moving, you've already got that momentum. Then yeah, you just keep pushing forward and don't worry about it. But like when you get caught unawares, especially, say that keyword, say that tip.
So tell everybody a little bit about that. So last week you guys had, as we said, Steve,
Sports Psych
the
Steve.
Sports Psych, on, and he talked a little bit about tilt, right? As one of your, but you guys really broke off into some great information just about keeping your cool not only in moments that you might have tilt and you might get into a tilt situation, but also just staying calm throughout the game, right? And having these things. So, like, number one, what is a key word mean? Like, what is that word supposed to do for you and tell you?
It really just comes down to, it kind of is something that you say to yourself in these moments and that you find yourself saying to pull you out of that moment, whether you're frustrated, whether you're tilted, whether you're panicking, something like that. It's just something that you kind of say to yourself and you kind of recenter yourself and get ready to face the next play. Right. I know when we talked to him about it, mine was I tell myself, I say aim, or I'll sometimes say my name and I'll say Bennett, aim. And just, take a second to think, what am I doing right now? What do I need to be doing? Is what I'm thinking right now, is this helpful at all? No, it's usually not. And then, so you say that word, you say that phrase to yourself, and then you just kind of take a breath, and then you move forward and you say, all right, let me approach this. If I die, I die. But let me just approach this in a better mindset than I was just a second ago.
Right. Yeah, I just thought it was really interesting, and everybody that did not listen to that episode, go back and listen to their interview with Fortnite or with Steve. It was incredible. A lot of awesome information, a lot of cool things that he talked about. As far as like maybe even hear somebody in the building next to you, like take a deep breath and then engage. Right, like have your plan moving forward. Yeah. So that was really cool, and really cool tip that I wanted to make sure everybody got from you guys and to share. From
that point, we're going to stop for a second. We're going to cut this episode off just so people don't get overwhelmed with seeing a bunch of time on get trapped into a multi-hour episode. So this will be where we're going to mark the end of part 1 of the Fortnite Champions, FTR Champions, Fortnite Champions, and Fortnite Community Podcast joint episode. We'll have, I think we're doing this as a dual release, so check out the next episode right after this, where we're going to start moving on and talking about the 3.0 patch, because there's so much more to talk about in that. And
just a few things.
Part 1.
There's just a few things to talk about in
just
that.
A couple.
Yeah,
not a whole lot.
You could listen to part 1 over at the Fortnite Community feed, and then jump over to the FTR Champions feed and listen to ours over there.
That's right.
Because it's going to be the same. It's
going
to be great.
Like Hannah Montana. Best of both worlds.
I'm going to put voice changers on ours.
Oh, yeah. We're going to say robots and stuff.
Beep, bap, cool.
Yeah.
I'm going to have love-making music behind ours.
Dang, I think they win.
Yeah, it's gonna be better. It's gonna be better. We don't need love-making music. Our voices are just pure sex.
That's true. Well, in case you guys don't make it to the next episode for some reason, maybe I don't know why you wouldn't listen to it. But please check us out. You can follow us on Twitter at Fortnite Podcast. And then you can follow FTR Champions at Fortnite or FTR Champions. And make sure you check out FortniteTracker.com. And go listen to the next episode. It's coming out in just a few days if you're listening to this, or maybe, I don't know. We haven't figured it out yet, but we will.
Yeah.
We're going to drop
Maybe it's coming out today. Yeah. We don't know.
Yeah.
The world may never know.
So make sure you guys check that out. And anything else? Bennett? Zander? David?
I don't think we have anything else to plug right now.
That just about covers it.
Yeah. Rounds it up.
Cool.
If you want to hear all of our real awesome plugs, come listen to part 2.
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see everybody in the next episode.
Yeah. See you soon.
Dance out those kills and boast in those victory royales.
If you get it.
Don't want to assume.
You don't get any kills and you don't get any victory royales.
Yeah, it's really sad.
Then you might
Some
be.
people live that way.
Then you might be Zander.
Oh.